Good morning, guys, and welcome to Art Starters. This is Miss Rinkin, and today we're going to learn about one of the 7 elements of art, which is line. Line is the first element of art. It's the foundation of all art, and it is, the definition is a point moving in space. So the other elements which we're going to try to cover, we have line, shape, space, value, form, texture, and color. But today we're going to focus on line, and what we're going to do is we're going to be creating, and I'm going to darken this just a little bit, a feather, because feathers have a wonderful example of line and texture. You can see the different lines on the feather as we are viewing it here. So we're going to start with that. So I'm going to move this guy off to the side, and we're going to begin. So first of all, for this project, you're going to need a pencil, your eraser, a thin line Sharpie or marker of some kind, hopefully, if you can find one, and about 3 different markers. And these markers can be any color. There's your eraser. So we're going to go ahead and get started by creating our line center of this feather, which is where everything attaches to. And then we're going to work from the smallest area out. And what I want you to do is really look at the way that a feather is put together. Now, if you have your own feather, you can definitely, I encourage you to use your own feather. If you do not, you can follow along with me. And remember, at any point during our video, feel welcome to pause it if you need to catch up, or if you need to take a minute, because I'm working through, but you guys have the ability to stop and start whenever you would like to. Alright, so as you are hopefully watching now, wow, this is a little light, isn't it? Sorry, guys. I don't even know if that picked up. It makes me sad. Might have to turn this light off for starters. Maybe help a little bit. Let's zoom in so you can see actually what I'm drawing. Alright, and I'm just going in and I'm drawing from the center branch. I'm coming out here, and this is an example of line. And these are what we call free-flowing lines. And your feather can be short and fat, or it can be long and skinny, whatever your heart desires. There we go. Alright, so I've got the pencil gone for now, and we're going to move on to filling this in. I'm again going to start with this middle section, which is the, I guess, the stem of the feather, I don't know. And we're going to fill that in. And then from there, we're going to branch off again, and we're going to begin with these small parts down here. And notice that they are coming off of the feather from the center, and they are in some ways holding together, and in other ways they are separate in their own right. So remember, we're starting from the center and we're pulling our way outward, and you were just working on moving this pencil as you would your eye across the surface. I'm leaving some gaps because if you'll notice in my feather, there are some gaps of space. Feathers are awesome. They're a great way to look at line. And I thought the feather would be a really wonderful way to teach you guys a little bit about line by pulling from the center. Alright, so I'm just working my way up. Remember, there's really honestly no wrong way to do this. Just remember to pull from the center and let your lines happen. Try not to, and I know this is the difficult part, if there is one, try not to think too much about this. Try to let your hand do some of the work. And if you will notice, I don't know if you can see, but I have my hand flat onto the surface that I'm working, and that helps the lines to be steady. And again, I'm pulling away, and you can notice that the feathers are often kind of curvy, so I'm working into it that way, and then I'm just continuing as I go up to the point of the feather to the tip. Alright, and so that would be your second step. You could go back in here if you want to and add a little bit of line on one side of the feather stem if you would like to. Just add a little bit more in here. You can go back to the surface or the center of the feather and work your way out again. Again, you're pulling if you would like to kind of make a darker edge there, but you don't have to. For time's sake, I'm going to stop here and go ahead and go to the next step, which you're going to erase. And what I decided to do was make this a little bit interesting, because ultimately our line image or drawing is done now. But what I ended up doing is I made it a little bit more interesting by adding line throughout the center section. And how I did that, guys, is I just started from one side and I began to mark make. And when I got to the feather, I was careful not to go through the feather, but kind of around it, if that makes any sense. And I just continue to pull this up and draw very simple lines as a background. Again, pulling off of the whole idea of line as I go. And again, this is free flow, so I'm going to continue from this side over, kind of give my eye a visual path as I am drawing. Something to fill in. This visual path would go maybe to here. Give me something to work my way back into. Alright, and I would continue over the surface of my paper like this. Alright, so I'm going to stop here for time's sake, and then I'm going to show you your next little bit to do. The next thing to do is the coloring, which is the fun part. Again, it's what I call the icing on the cake. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit for you guys. And you can start with any colors. I happen to like to do the background first. So what you would do is you would go around the edge of your feather, being careful not to get into the lines that you've created. And you would continue to work your way out. And I'm only going to do one side because I don't want to keep you guys for an hour while I'm showing this. But you would continue on, and I'm going to do this one little section around. And you can honestly color this any way that you want to. I colored the background a two-tone, a variation of green, and dealing with the color wheel, green and blue can be blended into each other very well. So those are the two color choices that I chose for this. I also left a little bit of white striping, so I'm going to go ahead and just from here move on. And again, I'm just doing one side of my feather to show you guys how to do it without wasting too much of your day. But I want you to have fun with this. Okay, so the next thing I did was I went in and I pulled another color. In this case, I used a blue. And with that blue, I started mark making of my own, being careful to pull from the side and other areas. And I just kind of striped it in sections. However you're feeling, and just kind of pull it however this hits you. And you know, ultimately we are trying to evoke some happiness here, so creativity is a great way to get your brain happy. And I am a firm believer of that. So, alright. So I've done that. And again, that is as far as I'm going to go with that because I want you guys to, I don't want to get too carried away here. And then the last thing I did, and I'm going to attempt to turn my light back on just to see, well, maybe not. This guy's giving me a little bit of problems today. Alright. We're going to do without the light. And the last thing is I used just a color to make it pop. And in this case I used a hot pink, which is definitely a spicy color, to go back into the tips of my feather in certain areas to trace around it to make it look fancy smancy. And I hope that you guys will enjoy doing this as well. Again, you can use as much color variation as you want to. I just thought that it may get too busy. Busy means too much going on one composition. So I chose to just use 3 markers or 3 colors. You can use colored pencil for this. You can also choose to leave it black and white, which would be a definite great choice. And lastly, I just want to show you these two together. This is your line, or your variation of your line and your feather. I hope you enjoyed today. And again, line is one of the 7 elements of the fundamentals of art. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, awesome rest of your day. Happy drawing, guys.